What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Chocast. Today I'll be talking to y'all about the off season and what to come for the Charlotte Hornets. First off, I want to say thank you guys for all the support y'all have given me. I look forward to doing this podcast every week or so. And forgive me, my voice is a little raspy. I was sick this week. But, with the 2022-2023 season coming to a close in the playoffs, it only means one thing. Draft lottery's approaching. Tuesday night, this Tuesday, could change the rest of the future for the Hornets. And obviously, they could either get around the sixth pick or seventh pick, or they could potentially get the first pick, second pick, third pick, whatever. They had more of a likely chance of getting the sixth pick or second pick. It's like, in my opinion, I think it's 50-50. But it's obviously a big offseason for the Hornets. They have a lot they can control, though, with restricted free agents, Bridges and PJ Washington. And a huge help they'll have is not only having the potential top 3 to 5 pick, but another first at pick 27 from Denver in 3 seconds, which are huge because you can potentially trade them up, like use them to trade up. You got pick 34, pick 39, and pick 41. And you can trade those, I think, with pick 27 and really get a good pick, maybe into the mid first round if you really want it. That'll be interesting. Who knows how that'll work, but we'll see. But you could potentially trade up, and also, if the Hornets say they fell to like seventh or eighth, or they can only fall to seventh, I believe, and there's a small chance at eighth. If they fell to eighth, they could potentially trade back, and I don't know. That I hope that it doesn't have to get to that point, but we'll see on Tuesday. And there's a lot of questions coming to this offseason. It's a very important one. So let's dive into some of them. Let's see. Is it justified to bring back Miles Bridges? In my opinion, what he did was wrong. And everything has transpired over a year now. And, well, not fully a year because it happened in July. But I would say what's done is done. I know it sounds bad, but his ex, Michelle Johnson, the victim of the case, wants him to have a second chance and believes this is his best opportunity to have a second chance. And he's been doing things outside of basketball to work and become a better person and with his kids and everything. So that stuff's getting figured out. But he had a whole year off the NBA, and Hornets figured that was right. And here we are. He's gonna have a 10-game suspension at the beginning of the year, but I would say it is justified to bring him back because the Hornets are obviously a team that needed him this year. And I would say it's just if you don't get him, if you're the Hornets and you don't get him back, some other team's going to grab him. And you just can't have that happen. He's obviously best friends with LaMelo, and he just fits the team so well. So you just can't let him go. And you look at speaking of free agents, Miles is a free agent. What free agents do I think the Hornets will bring back? Well, you got Kelly Oubre, unrestricted free agent. You got an early bird right on him, which is big. PJ Washington, restricted free agent with bird rights. Dennis Smith Jr., unrestricted free agent, non-bird rights. Savi Mikhailuk, unrestricted free agent, non-bird rights. And Teo Maledon, who's a restricted free agent, two-way contract. So, and obviously Miles Bridges, restricted free agent. So, of these 6 players, I would say the free agents that I think the Hornets will bring back most likely is PJ Washington. I think he'll be back. I could see him back on like a 16 to 18 million a year deal, somewhere around there. Probably like 4 years. Dennis Smith Jr. I think will be back around like 6 mil, 6 to 8 mil, 2 year contract maybe, 2 year 12 mil, probably somewhere around there. Kelly Oubre, I really love you, Kelly, and the whole city does. but I just can't really see him back unless they kind of like look to trade Terry or Hayward. I just don't know if they have the money, and I don't know if they have like the roster space to get Kelly back with Bridges coming back, most likely. It's just a tough situation, and I'm trying to think of like a scenario, and there's certainly a scenario, but it's just like you don't know how much he's gonna want. And I know he loves Charlotte. He said he wanted to come back and he wanted to have a home. He felt like he's never had a home. And Charlotte's a great place to have a home. You can ask all these players. But is this the place? And is this the time for him to finally find his home? And is Charlotte the place? I don't know. I love Kelly, like I said, but I just with everything coming into this offseason, I don't know if he'll be back. And he's just I would say it's like less than 10% chance. And you look at Savi Mikhailuk, kind of plug in and the whole Jalen McDaniels trade. I don't think he'll be back. That would just exclude him from anything. Teo Maladon, uh, I don't think he'll be back. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Maybe he plays on the Swarm, but I think some other team will obviously see that he's a good player and pick him up on like an actual deal. And Miles Bridges, I think, will be back on like a 3-year deal. I don't know the contract. We'll have to see about that, but I expect that to happen. Then we have what draft prospect will be the best fit for the Hornets. Well, obviously, you get the first pick, you got to take Victor, right? So best fit, obviously. Um, on the draft board around the Hornets range, it's kind of hard to tell here, but you got Scoot Henderson, Brandon Miller, Amen Thompson, Oscar Thompson, Jarris Walker, Cam Whitmore, people like that. And of those people, I'd say Scoot Henderson's a really good fit with the Hornets. Perfect fit with LaMelo in the backcourt. And Thompson, Amen Thompson's a good player. I think it'd be a good fit. I still rank Scoot and Brandon Miller over him. I think Brandon Miller would be really nice too. Offers a lot of defense. He's a mature player, I'd say. And Cam Whitmore is one of those guys that I think would be a good fit, but he could get a little bit jumbled with PJ and Miles because he's around the same type of player. Not really the same player, but like 6'7", around 230, 225. It's just like where are you going to plug him in? You know what I mean? I mean, I'll be fine with it, but I think Cam Whitmore is probably going to be one of the players that could be a steal in the draft. Like I'm excited to see his future. I've watched a little bit of him. Like everybody talks about the top 3 picks, Victor, Brandon Miller, and Scoot, but Cam Whitmore is just a player that I think could easily put himself in the Rookie of the Year race. We have another question here. Should Steve Clifford be back next year? Look, there's some recent news that came out. I'm going to get into that in a second. But outside that news, Clifford was a good coach this year. Maybe not good, but he was solid. He did what he kind of could with what was given to him. The whole Miles thing, and you had the whole, everybody getting hurt. I mean, you look at LaMelo; he played 36 games. I mean, what are you supposed to do with that? But other than that, he did what he could. His defense really showed up at the end of the year. Mark Williams was huge. Once he plugged Mark in, everything got pretty good defensively, and they were like first in defensive ranking after All-Star break for a little while. And then injuries and stuff, they kind of fell off defensively. But Dennis Smith Jr. was a big part too. But I don't want to keep rambling on. But Clifford made that defense good. The offense was alive. He was not a bad coach, but is he a long-term coach? No, right? I think he's got like 1 year on his deal, maybe left. And Monty Williams just got fired from the Suns just an hour before I recorded this when you hear it. And He is not a bad coach. I don't think he should have been fired. And he would be a long-term coach for Charlotte. So was Clifford bad this year? No. And does he have deservedly have a right to be back next year? Yes. But if the small case of getting Monty Williams is available, if I'm MJ and whatever, I don't know, that whole situation, with him trying to lose some stake of his ownership, I would go after Monty Williams. I know he's going to want the bag probably, but I say why not? He would be a great coach. So I think the Hornets should try to go after him. But will they? Probably not, because the Charlotte Hornets. Does James Bouknight have a future with the Hornets? This one is a tough one. Kind of goes with the offseason because they're going to have to make a decision on him. Look, I've been a big James Bouknight fan, but I don't think he has a future with the Charlotte Hornets. In fact, I feel like he can thrive somewhere else, but he just will never thrive on the Charlotte Hornets. Just hasn't been the right. It hasn't felt right with Bouknight on the Hornets yet. You look at last year, bro barely played, got in a fight with his coach, James Borrego. Well, I guess you can say 2 years ago now, since you can classify last year as this year, I guess. Um, and he didn't play anymore after that. Then this year, he got a good opportunity with Steve Clifford, multiple opportunities, and he failed in each one of them really bad. And he got into the whole DUI or DWI. Wasn't a good look for him, right? But here we are. He had a couple good games at the end of the season. Uh, I don't know, really. He had a couple mad games too. Maybe he's trying to figure out. If you think about it, this year was like his rookie season. So, like, I know it's unfortunate, but it's not the fact that Booknight doesn't have potential. Is not a good player, right? That's not, no, right? It's always been a confidence thing with him. And still learning the game, right? But the thing with him is you got Bryce McGowan's, and he is overtaking you. So that is rough. You can't have that happen if you want minutes on the Hornets. So you got Bryce taking over the minutes, right? And you got Terry. Cody Martin, who's going to be back next year. Where's your minutes going to be? You know what I'm saying? And that's without saying, what if the Hornets got the second pick? They're going to take Scoot Henderson. So, with all that being said, where does James Bouknight belong on the Charlotte Hornets? You see what I mean? So, that's all I'm going to say about Bouknight. What moves should be done to help LaMelo? I'm probably about to get into this a little bit, but I think it's easy when coming to talking about what moves should be done to help him. For one, you got to bring back Miles, got to bring back PJ, got to bring back Dennis. Key parts of the franchise. Maybe Kelly, I don't know. That whole situation's rough. And you got to make moves. Plain and simple. Hornets need shooting. Clearly struggle with it. So get a couple shooters in free agency. I haven't really looked at free agency yet. Focus on the draft for now. And I would say you have to play it smart in the draft. I would say you have so many opportunities with these picks, the 3 second-round picks, and the late first. You have to somehow find a way to trade up or get a player. Like, I've seen it all. Teams get easy stuff for these second-round picks in the draft. And just Mitch got to find a way. He has to play it smart, and it's really simple. I think. I mean, it's never simple, but Mitch set himself up to make this an easier offseason, and he can really make the Hornets into a really good, solid franchise with these moves. I'm interested to see what he does, but it is the Hornets, and they always find a way. It seems like maybe by accident, obviously this offseason was kind of things happen without it being their fault, I'd say. But I'd say as far as moves to be done, re-sign free agents, play smart in the draft, maybe trade up and get some shooters. Right, a little bit of defenders, but definitely some shooters. And hopefully get lucky in the lottery. So I've been asked to grade Mitch Kupchak's tenure as the Hornets GM. Well, who knows how long he'll be the Hornets GM? It might not be till the end of this offseason. But I'm gonna grade him since he's became the Hornets GM. I'm gonna give him a B minus. Look, he's made very little moves as far as trades. The trades he made at the deadline, you know what? C plus, C plus. I'm gonna give Mitch Kupchak a C plus because I forgot about this year trade deadline. The moves he made at the trade deadline this year were really upsetting. Trading Mason Plumlee, which he had to do, and getting a 2027 or 2028 second round pick. You could have got more. Maybe I'm wrong, but you could have got way more. And the Jalen McDaniels trade, I guess, wasn't awful. The second round pick they got was 34th, so that's good, I guess. I mean, considering McDaniels was 54th, but I don't know. That was rough. But anyways, looking at his draft history, he's made really good second round selections. That's been the best he's done. You look at Bryce, Thor, Cody Martin, Devontae Graham. He's made good second round picks. Uh, McDaniels, obviously. But first round picks, you look at the picks he's taken: Miles, PJ, Wumela, Mark. Really not bad, right? But he got lucky with LaMelo, so you can't give him too much credit with that. But the draft's been fine. He hasn't really made too many draft mistakes. But in free agency, the Hayward contract deal, which was a gamble, and it was a gamble on hoping he wouldn't get injured because we knew his talent as a player, and his talent as a player is a pretty good player. But the injuries arrived, and boy, did they arrive. So that's a problem, big problem. And you can actually blame Mitch for that because you knew what you're getting yourself into. And sure, there were some unfortunate injuries, but it's just kind of what do you expect when you go for a guy that's had some injuries before. No offense to Gordon Hayward, but C plus. He's been average, but the trade deadline move he made the year before to get Trez at the deadline wasn't bad. It almost pushed the Hornets to the playoffs, but just it didn't work out. And not really his fault. I wouldn't say, but you can't blame him for this past offseason either with the Miles stuff. He could have handled it a little bit better, maybe, but we'll see what he does with the team and if he'll be here for this offseason. Uh, could be Buzz Peterson. I don't know. Now we got what could Victor mean for the direction of the Hornets franchise. Victor could mean a lot for the Hornets franchise. And I'm not over exaggerating. He could single handedly bring everybody around to watch the Hornets. I mean, everybody knows this guy. Everybody knows Victor. And even my mom knows Victor, which is saying something because she doesn't, know many draft players coming into the draft, and he's not even playing college. And it's interesting to see just the freakish plays he pulls off, like the putback dunk on the 3-pointer, the through the legs fadeaways. He's just got it. You know what I'm saying? And he just he's one of those players that just puts you in awe. And a player like that, like LaMelo, for example, can mean everything to your franchise. Just the viewership and just the media around it. Like it means everything. Like that could just change the whole direction. And that's not even talking about his talent as a player. His defensive ability to get blocks and stay on his feet, his shooting ability at that height, his dribbling skills that probably won't get him as far in the NBA because he's not strong enough yet. But he's got it. He's got that it factor. And if the Hornets get lucky enough to get that first pick, the whole franchise, the whole fan base, everybody's going to realize that this team can be good. And there's a future with this team because of Victor Wembanyama. So that's all I'll say about him. And obviously Tuesday we'll find out. Speaking of Victor, he's got a co-mate as far as who is going to be in the draft. Everybody knows him. Scoot Henderson. I was asked, is Scoot Henderson a good fit for the Hornets? I think he is. I think he is. I think Scoot Henderson is a perfect fit for the Hornets. I mean, you look at him, 6'2" guard, 6'1" maybe, with freakish athleticism, can jump out the building, shot, catch and shoot shot, still improving, but he's got a jumper. He spent his time in the G League Ignite this year, so he's got some pro experience already. It seems to have paid off for some people, Jalen Green. Um, and I would say it was good for him. And I'm excited to see what he can do. He had that one injury, he was out a little while. But I think he'd be perfect with LaMelo. He can be a lob threat. He's bigger. He's going to be a good defender. I know he will be. And he's already got the NBA body. He's NBA ready. I think he is a perfect fit for the Hornets. And if you get lucky enough to get number two, it's no brainer. You're taking Scoot Henderson. I know some mock drafts have Brandon Miller going second, but no way am I, if I'm the Hornets, taking Brandon Miller over Scoot Henderson. Scoot Henderson's my guy too. There's no way I'm taking Brandon Miller. No offense, Brandon Miller. I'm taking him at three regardless, Brandon Miller. But Scoot Henderson at two is perfect. And that kind of goes into, Terry Rozier. And I was asked about Terry Rozier and do I think that they should trade him? And you look at his contract, I believe he's got 3 more years left. And that's kind of rough. He's getting paid like 22 mil a year for the rest of his deal, right? And I look at it, I'm like, we, if you're the Hornets, you kind of got to trade that, because first of all, it kind of is a good salary filler. Like you can put in a trade and it will match a deal. You know what I'm saying? But it's also like you're paying a guy for 3 more years, 20 million plus, who might not be a long term piece. Like he's not a bad player. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. Franchise seems to like him. Ownership seems to like him. Coaches seem to like him. But he is a shot chucker at some times. But he it's just like the thing with him is he's a smaller guard. He can't defend as well. And long term, is he gonna be a good fit with LaMelo, a 6'1" guard that most of his offense is either ISO or catch and shoot? I don't know. So I would say you kind of got to start looking around for trades. Oh, well, if you don't trade him this offseason. But if you get Scoot Henderson, I think you definitely got to look into a trade because that leaves Bryce and if maybe Book Knight just not getting any minutes at all. And where do you put Cody Martin? Maybe you look for a trade. I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of decisions for the Hornets to make this offseason. And trading Terry Rozier is certainly a hard one to think about because he's obviously had some good moments with the Hornets. And fans kind of turned on him last year. He really had a rough year. He shot, below 40%. Kind of played like Celtic Terry Rozier, other than that one playoff series. But, you kind of look at him now and you question, is this the right move to trade him? or should we keep him at least another year or two and see from there? But, the lottery's Tuesday. Everything could change then. We'll know where the Hornets are heading just off of Tuesday at 8:30. The draft lottery is that night, and it could potentially be the Hornets' biggest night in franchise history, or it could be a very disappointing normal day for the Hornets fans, which it very well could be. But I'm not trying to be the you know, pessimistic king, I guess. But that's it for the podcast, first podcast. Hope y'all enjoyed, and stay tuned for the content. And make sure you're following my page. And y'all have a good one. Thanks for listening.